AI art can produce amazing looking web designs. In this video, I'm going to react to some of the ones generated by myself as well as my community. These were made in Midjourney. I'll show you exactly how people are making these, how you can make it yourself, and how you can turn these into websites. And I'll also show how ChatGPT is becoming a part of the process of building websites as well. I've integrated Midjourney into my own Discord channel. You can generate your own AI art, your own web designs, and you can try it out completely for free. I have hundreds of designs, and we're going to check out some of the best, and they progressively get better and better. Let's have a look at the first one here, which is a beautiful website about learning code, UI, UX, etc. It's come out with almost this design here for what looks like a portfolio. We have a large image, a menu section, we have a header title as well as a button here or two. And I love the fact that we could even pull out this image and use this as the baseline for creating a design like this. If we keep scrolling down, someone here has put in an e-commerce web design for selling street clothing. They've got a few other things here like urban style, BBC, ice cream, as well as things like UI borders, minimalist, as well as 8K. And you can see the different variations that Midjourney has produced for this AI art, essentially having 3 to 4 different design aesthetics here, like a white version, a yellow version, a dark version, and it's got a unique layout here, where, for example, if you're doing a website traditionally, you just might have a title and maybe an image, but here there's a lot more. There's like these menus on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. The next thing here is this person who's doing this street art has progressively added more and more content in here, and he gets additional design aesthetics. So this is almost like being able to generate multiple designs that you could take to a client, and then you can allow them almost to choose which one they like and have the AI progressively expand out the design until it's something that they choose. And this would normally take hours or even days for a designer to do. Now AI can basically make this AI web design art in just moments, which is magical. Another variation they've done here is for the same thing, but to add blues and oranges. They've specifically asked for blues and oranges, and now you can see that the design of the titles as well as the background and even the clothes themselves are incorporating those colors. And this is just how a few words can really create unique looking designs like this. Here's another example of a design for a car service website with an image of a blue and orange Mercedes-Benz. And if we have a look at this, this looks quite futuristic. We have the car itself, which is, I suppose, a Mercedes that I can tell by the logo it's meant to be. We've got the menu, we've got these nice oranges and blues again with a strong call to action and a section here for the logo. And we have variations again, so like an orange background, a blue background, a dark version. So this is what I mean in terms of how the AI actually doesn't just generate the image itself, it also generates the entire aesthetic for the website. And this could be then used to create a style guide. Here we've expanded on one of the images, so you've got a bit more depth. And yes, while the AI art might not particularly be able to fill in text, the typography is quite well done here because we have a large text for the hero, we've got a smaller tagline, and then we've got a bit of description here, and all of this is following good color theory. So the AI art is doing a great job here. I even like how it's blurred out the background, and the car here is in complete focus with even some of the reflection here. That's so cool. Here's something a little bit different, a UI design for fine dining with a focus on deep browns and creams and steak as well. So here we can see some of these examples, and wow, this steak, well, the AI definitely knows how to make a well done steak, or at least a medium rare one anyway. We have a few things happening here. We do have those colors of these dark browns, and they're matching with the steak. So this is what I mean, where when you're designing a website, normally you want to take inspiration of what's being shown in the pictures. So you can see how the steak colors as well as the background colors are almost flowing with this gradient happening. Even like the table color and this gradient is happening, and these nice sort of wooden finishes around the corners. These are all design aesthetics that I wouldn't even consider to include in a website, but now that I see them, they're definitely some type of aesthetic that I would love to have just to make a page look more refined and professional. And here's another example with a stronger focus on deep brown and cream. I guess in this example, there's more emphasis emphasis on, I guess, the mashed potato. But you can tell how Midjourney's art is showing more and more variations of a website landing pages. Here with these dishes and this gold in the background, as well as these dark browns, making it seem very professional, very beautiful, very high quality. And if you saw this as a landing page for a restaurant, you would definitely think they are of high caliber. The next few prompts here are for watches and websites for watch designs. And what was interesting about this is that whoever created this actually went through quite a few different types of prompts in order to get the website design that they were looking for. Generally, they were looking for a luxury watch with e-commerce, rose and pink, with a filter from the left-hand side and 3 columns. And here you can see that we've got a dark theme, a pink theme, a kind of combined, and a white theme happening. And as we progressively go through further and further, you can see that finally we've come across this main design aesthetic. And I think these ones probably look the best. Even this watch design is probably something unique that you could take to a manufacturer and actually build. But I think what's interesting about this design here is that the final design that was selected is this one over here. And this has a nice gradient happening from the right to the left. It has this subtle pink gold color for the watch, which stands out because it is the most important item on the page, basically drawing all your eye focus onto this. And then the text itself is very thin with a header text there, a tagline, a small body of text, and a large call to action button. And this, while looks like a simple design, this is sometimes all you need on a page to convert a user, just showcasing the product with a brief description of it and a call to action. Next, we have a UI UX design for an African hair salon, which basically is a main hero section with a front side full screen, deep brown, creamy, steaky look. And this is what came out. So for a hairdresser, I guess it's coming out with lots of different hair designs. And I like the fact that this one looks like it's on a laptop that's facing backwards. That's a pretty funny design for a Mac. But we definitely get all the main things happening here, such as the logo, the menu, a menu underneath. We have the main hero with a small action point here. And this looks like a little bit of a slider that you could select between. Whereas some of the other designs here are quite nice and larger than life. Again, applying a bit of a gradient happening from the bottom to the left, a strong call to action, and most of this is very similar to what we've seen before, but it works, which is why it's consistently a part of web design standards these days. There are then additional variations on lighter versions of this design aesthetic, and then you can upscale them using the AI tool so that you can get a better idea of how you could, for example, utilize it. So I like the fact that there were quite a few different variations here. And let's have a look at the next part here. This is a beautiful website for e-commerce for music marketing. So in this case, what's happened is that we've gotten, I suppose, a few not that great music aesthetics. We've got this one here that looks like a music website, but it's on a laptop, so you can't see it that well. Whereas this is sort of like a laptop with music around. So this is where some prompt engineering could probably help the Midjourney AI art to create better web designs. And that's what this person's done. They've gone through and updated their prompt here to say a beautiful website and music marketing, and then they've added UI UX after, as well as the word website. Now it actually does look like a website. It's actually put on top of a computer. So you can see that the website is in the background. You've got these guitars on the foreground, which I suppose is what the music is referring to. And then you have even what looks like e-commerce here, because you have like a bit of a shopping cart. You have a few selections here, and then you have your products down here. So I suppose these are very unique looking websites for, well, music. I haven't seen ones like this before, but they definitely look beautiful. Then there's additional prompts here. So they've redefined this. Now it says a beautiful e-commerce website for music marketing. They've got DJ, music art, a live streaming, and a couple of other keywords here. But as you can see, now the website looks a lot different. Because of those keywords, now you've got a stronger dark aesthetic with golds, as well as the products for things like headphones, DJs, as well as some music like rappers here. And I guess this is because they've added the words gold, black, white, gray to the website. And this is just how adding a few keywords can subtly change the entire design of a website that's produced by the AI art. This person has then gone on to create additional variations for this website design. until they were finally happy with something that had a bit more color, a bit more depth. I think it's further down here, and it's even on a laptop, which is interesting, but it's basically like a strong call to action here at the bottom with this gold. We've got the speakers on the left and right hand side with the person listening to their headphones in the middle, and this menu and logo at the very top. Time to take a look at another design aesthetic. Here we've got the best website design for a sweater-shirt UI UX. And here we've got a bit of an art style happening here for what looks like a jumper or a sweater, I guess. We've got teals as well as purples and oranges too. But all of these are kind of, I suppose, not very web looking. We have a lot of statistics happening here, and while some of these look like they could be a website because they've got a button and a hero text and what looks like a menu, I think that there could be a lot more done in terms of the prompt engineering on this one to make it work. So here I can see that this person has continued building out additional prompts. So you can see here now we have a little bit more of what looks like a e-commerce website, because we've got the menu here, we've got a sub menu, we've got an action, we've got a title as well as a button here. And now we've got the product itself on the right hand side, whereas in this case we have someone wearing it. Again, some of these aren't probably the best types of website designs for sweaters, but this is again where more prompt engineering needs to be done, and I can see that this person did continue to do so. So now we've got another example. It's best e-commerce website design realistic for a sweater-shirt UI UX, and this one I like much more. This one actually is starting to look like a website design for a sweater shop, because what we're getting here, is if you look closely, is this design for the sweater without much of a person. We've got variations of what it might look like. We have what looks like a summary and a cart where you could add it in, as well as a shopping cart here at the top, and even sections for maybe the pricing and sizing as well as the adding to cart. So now you can see how just even a small bit of prompt engineering can improve the design of a website like that. If you didn't know, I like coffee. So when I saw this one here for a coffee store, even though it's not a website, I was excited to see that this person actually then continued to build out this thing where it says now coffee online store. And we're starting to see variations of what a coffee store might look like online. Not only that, we even have a logo, which is really cool. This means that Midjourney and its AI can make website logos for you, which you could then customize. And this is one hell of a logo, I have to say. Now for some clothing designs. This is a creative and colorful clothing website. We have Nike, Adidas, and other brands designed in Figma as a web design with UI, UX, and front-end design. That's the prompt. And this is the output here. I have to say, this is one hell of a colorful design for clothing. I think it's because we're pulling in that inspiration of both Nike and Figma, which use these colors in their logo. Maybe that's why it's so colorful. Maybe even too colorful, I would say. So here I can see this person continued to work on their prompts. This time it's more for men's slacks. And here you get an example of that in practice, where you get different shopping designs for these slacks. If we take a closer look, we actually get variations of those. So let me just zoom in here. So I like actually how they've done the variations to look almost like little selectors that you could do, and maybe that updates the model. Or even this one where like the trending design is just over here and then you have additional designs. It's definitely a unique take on how you do this. And this one here looks like it's for a very high class design for maybe a jacket as well as slacks. But yeah, these are some good designs. And there are additional designs in here that are being created. I think this one here is good because it's more focused, so it's more on things like Pinterest as well as Dribbble, and you can see those colors are bleeding into the design. I think even the design of Dribbble and Pinterest are coming through, because you can see it's more of that clean kind of design with these rounded corners, and this is often what Dribbble does in terms of most of its design aesthetics. Here's one for a website design for a recruitment platform as well as jobs, and this is pretty standard for what you would expect to see in terms of a recruitment website. Though the guy might look a little bit funny, I do like the fact that we have recruitment like logos and icons in the background. We've got like a geolocation map here on the design on the right hand side. We've looked like avatars of different people in this design. It looks like we've almost got these skewed kind of aesthetics where if, for example, I was doing a design presentation for a website, this is sort of how I would make it and mock it up, just so it looks more natural and interesting, like presented on a laptop. These ones are more generic, something that we would probably see in template websites where you might just have a Shutterstock image or a stock image in general of a person with a background as well as them working in an organization. We've got that default template of what looks like a menu as well as a hero section, a left column and a right column here. Now I'm going to get to some of my favorites. This one here is a UI UX design for an e-com website that sells soft drinks with branded colors being green, orange, and they look vibrant, which is, I think, what probably makes them stand out so much. You can definitely tell just how creatively colorful these pages are, with different types of designs here that looks like a cup as well as a bottle. We've got a main product in the middle with variations below it, as well as this large one which looks like a website where the product even almost comes out of the entire website design, and then there's a nice background to it, which I think is a unique way to create a website design. So if we scroll down here, we can see that this person definitely liked that and then expanded on it. And here you can see how maybe this could be something like it could overflow over the menu. And it could, for example, show the variations here on the right hand side of different mixtures you could apply into the drink. And then here are some nice leaves and other aesthetics in the background that make this visible and nice. Now this is one of my favorites because this is what uses, I suppose, more AI to be creative in terms of the design. Designs that we might have never even seen before or considered now bring us to the forefront of what websites will look like in 2023 or beyond. Here's another one, and this even has this nice custom font which looks quite swirly. We can see that the header isn't just a traditional header with a single line, but instead we've got this bubbly nature to it, where it essentially looks like it's flowing from the header design and bubbling through like almost a juice would do. So these are all these little subtle things that a human might not even consider to do, and yet the AI has decided to do this and make it look way more beautiful than I could probably create. Here's another one. I think the bottle kind of looks like it's upside down, but who am I to say? If the AI says that a button should exist here and then 2 more buttons down to the bottom right, maybe this is a standard we've never considered, because normally I just make my buttons all exist horizontally or vertically, but never in this sort of a zigzag pattern. Maybe that's something I should try, and maybe that produces better results. Still, I just love looking at these designs because they're so inspiring. They make me feel fresh, and I actually feel thirsty when I'm looking at these, honestly. So I mentioned earlier I want to pick a design and then create it as part of this, and this is the one that I've kind of enjoyed the most. So I'm going to see if I can replicate this, and to do this I'm going to need to do 3 main things. I'm going to have to pull out these images so that I can actually use in terms of a design. So I'm going to do some additional midjourney queries. Then I'm going to throw them into a no coding platform, and I'm going to recreate the content as well, probably using ChatGPT. So first what I'll do is grab this URL. Then I'll jump back into Discord and I'll head to the midjourney bot. I'm going to pass in, well, imagine as a prompt, and I'm going to pass in the URL for this image, but I'm also going to type in wallpaper. And that's pretty much it, because what I really want to do is I want to grab this image as a wallpaper that I could use as the background image for the website to kick it off. So I've got the results, and unfortunately it seems to pull in the design aesthetic, but it's not exactly what I want. And this is where I need to do some prompt engineering. I'm going to pass in some of those values like soft drink branded colors and the colors themselves, and I'm going to pass in the URL one more time, and with this it's a more defined prompt, very similar to what we originally had with the website design. Now I've got something that looks much better. We can see here that we do have what looks like those colors aesthetics, as well as those things like the oranges in the background and whatnot. And while we could now use some of these images, we could crop them out in Photoshop and apply them to the website, I actually kind of still like this aesthetic. click. So I think I'm going to do some photoshopping to pull out these assets and then utilize them as part of a design. So I'm going to right click and copy this image, and then I'm going to go into Photoshop and create a new one. This is just over here. I've just literally copied this in. I'm going to select the AI select tool here from Adobe and select the water bottle here, or this bottle of juice. And I'm going to see if I can copy paste it into its own layer on the left hand side. And then I can grab this individual layer and I should be able to file export it to be able to use as part of my own web design. I'm going to save this as a PNG so that it has a transparent background, and I'll use this a little bit later. I can then do the same for the other objects, such as this orange here, as well as the water bottles, and I'm just going to go through iteratively and basically just pull out all these elements to use. I'm not going to worry about the outside elements. I just want to grab these main elements inside the page. And for some of the elements here, like the leaf, I can just manually pull that shape right out. And maybe even the little shadow here that comes along with it. But realistically, I want to keep it as minimal as possible. So I'm just going to see if I can refine the edges a little bit here. And then I'll be able to pull this entire shape out later and create this as its own image once I do this in more detail. And to save your time and mine, here's a quick time lapse of me just cutting out these shapes to later use as part of the design. Now what's interesting is that we can jump into this prompt over here and we can actually pull this in more or less to ChatGPT. So that's what I'm going to do next. Let's open up a new instance of ChatGPT, and hopefully it's not experiencing any technical difficulties. And here where we have UI, UX design for e-commerce website that sells blah, 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 we can go, please provide title, description, and feature items and action button for and then we've got e-commerce website that sells soft drinks and brand colors are green, orange. So let's see what ChatGPT comes back with. And here, ideally, it just gives us the content for the website. So here we've got a title, we've got a description, hopefully a button. So I can probably plug this in later. I've also done something really cool. I've integrated ChatGPT and OpenAI's model here into my own Discord. So I can ask it the same question and more or less get the same response. And this I can use later in the website. And now I can just jump into like a no coding piece of software like EditorX and put this all together. So I might even start picking out the colors that we have here for the background as well as some of these elements. So for example, this background color, I could just pull out this yellow, grab the hex value, and that can be the starting point for the website. I'm going to just open up EditorX here and begin making this. So this is actually the easiest part. With no coding software, I can jump into the background and select the background color that we defined earlier, which is just this one here. I can go and drag an image in, literally drag and drop it, and I can change that image. And since I've earlier uploaded the image just here, I've got these two images ready to go, and I can simply select it, change its aspect ratio, and there it is, ready to go. I can then even overlay it a little bit from the top, similar to the design that we had over here. And then I can simply go ahead and grab the other image, drag it in and select it to use it as part of the backdrop. And this can actually be layered. So for example, well, let me first update the aspect ratio. I could put it behind this image or in front by heading over to the layers and just dragging it below. But I believe in the design itself, it was sort of clipping to the top and the bottom of the design here, and sort of resize it and then clip it into those spots. You can actually do a thing called docking, so it's always connected to the top and the bottom. And with that done, we can just add in some text here on the right hand side, something like, for example, a title as well as a description. We don't even have to fill these out ourselves. We can just use the ChatGPT title that we had earlier here. Let me jump in and update this one. And I might not want it to expand out all the way, so I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller. If we take a look at the design, it was quite bold and thick, so I can just do that now. I'll select edit. We've got quite a few different options here, and I think I might pick, let's see, impact. Impact's usually quite bold. We can make it even bolder. And there are other options here that we could do as well. But for the time being, that's probably enough. So I can just grab this description text. I can then update this text over here, and maybe we could make the font size 14 pixels. So this is sort of how you would go about building a page like this. Obviously, there would be a lot more to it, but it definitely makes the design aspect of it much easier. And while you might not be able to pull out entire elements, like for example, I might have to recreate this box shadow of the actual bottle itself manually in Photoshop, that all can be done. And this is more or less how you would build a website now using AI tools, and you could do it much faster than you could ever do in the past. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing some more in terms of AI design, web design, UI design, and how it plays a vital role into 2023 and beyond. If you guys find this interesting, let me know in the comments below. If you want to be part of some of the upcoming videos, or even give me suggestions on what you are looking for, jump into the Discord, and in there I've got a huge community of nearly 1,000 people just chatting as well as sharing ideas and even showcasing some of the work they're working on.